Artifact porn. This carved ivory model of an eye was used to help teach students the anatomy of the eyeball in the 1800s. It can be unscrewed from its base to show the different parts of the eye, including the cornea, pupil, and iris. Here's a 2,000-year-old jade burial suit from the Han Dynasty of China. All 3,200 of the jade tiles were stitched together using thin gold wire. Here's a nearly complete carnix from 100 BC that was found in France in 2004. Made in the shape of a snarling boar, it was a horn used by the Iron Age Celts to intimidate their enemies in battle. This was the great bathtub of ancient Roman Emperor Nero. Made of porphyry, it can be found in the Vatican museums of Rome. A Viking skull was found in Dorset, England, with lined grooves in its teeth. They were likely dyed red to frighten opponents in battle. This is the original marble throne of Charlemagne, as it can be found in Aachen, Germany. Between the years 790 and 1531, it served as the coronation throne for 31 kings of Germany. Artifact porn, part 28. This creepy-looking costume is actually a 16th century scuba suit designed by Leonardo da Vinci. It was equipped with 2 breathing tubes attached to a cork diving bell floating on the surface. While working in the water city of Venice, Da Vinci designed the suit for sneak attacks on enemy ships from underwater. This golden throne chair was found in the tomb of King Tut. Its colors haven't faded over 3,000 years, highlighting the impressive skills of ancient Egyptian craftsmen. Here's the anchor of a 13th century Mongol invasion ship that was just recently lifted out of the sea near Nagasaki, Japan. Discovered in a dried-up lake bed in New Mexico, this mile-long path of footprints is the longest prehistoric human trail ever found. The 12,000-year-old tracks belong to a toddler and its young adult mother who was in a hurry and sometimes carried the child on her back. It was most likely a perilous journey, since scientists also found the footprints of mammoths, giant sloths, direwolves, and saber-toothed tigers at the same site. This old pair of Levi's is considered to be the holy grail of vintage jeans amongst collectors. Found inside an abandoned gold mine in New Mexico, the pair dating back to the 1880s were sold at auction for $87,000. They're flecked with wax from when the original owner labored for hours over candlelight. This hand weapon, built from shark teeth and wood, was made in Hawaii circa 1778. Discovered in northern England, here's a 2,000-year-old toy sword that likely belonged to a child from ancient Rome. The Kassar Draw in Algeria is an ancient ruin that stands out in the middle of the Sahara Desert. Its age, history, and origins have been almost completely lost over time. Here's an example of a Japanese bunraku puppet that was used in theaters across Osaka throughout the early 1600s. During Victorian times, prostitutes would sometimes use brothel candles that burned for approximately 7 minutes. The customer would pay the fee, light the candle, and when it burned out, the session was over. The dog on the left is an award-winning French bulldog named Arnie. The dog on the right is also a French bulldog, but he was bred in the Netherlands by Hawbuck's Kennel. They're a breeder trying to establish a new, healthier template for French bulldogs, which are typically prone to overheating and breathing problems directly related to their flat facial structure. Here's an 1889 photo of a blind Muslim man named Muhammad carrying his best friend, a paralyzed Christian man with dwarfism named Samir. Despite their opposing religious views, each man depended on the other to survive. In 2017, a family swimming at Panama City Beach in Florida was suddenly swept out to sea by a strong rip current. Since there was no lifeguard on duty, over 100 beachgoers formed a human chain to pull the drowning family to safety. In 1967, line worker Randall Champion accidentally grabbed a high-voltage line, instantly electrocuting himself and stopping his heart. That's when fellow lineman J.D. Thompson immediately rushed over and performed CPR until paramedics arrived. Champion ended up surviving, and this famous photo became known as the Kiss of Life. This beach in Turkey is one of the only beaches in the world that's accessible to handicapped people. When she was 7 years old, Christina Santhouse was diagnosed with a life-threatening condition that forced doctors to remove half of her brain. But she miraculously grew up to earn a master's degree and now works as a professional speech pathologist. Here are some morbidly wholesome facts about Mr. Rogers. In 1969, when African American citizens were forbidden from swimming in pools with white people, Mr. Rogers invited a black police officer to come dip his feet in a pool with him, breaking a well-known color barrier. Mr. Rogers personally responded to every fan letter he ever received. A 5-year-old blind girl once asked if he could say when he's feeding the fish because she was worried about them starving. From that point on, every time he fed the fish, he said it out loud. In the 1980s, a little girl named Beth was suffering from over 100 seizures per day and was about to have half her brain removed in a major surgery. So her mother requested a note from Mr. Rogers just to assure the little girl that she'd be okay. When Mr. Rogers heard about this, he flew to visit her in the hospital and even brought his puppets to cheer her up. Beth survived the surgery and stayed close with Mr. Rogers until his death. Peo the French Stallion is a 16-year-old therapy horse that provides comfort to patients suffering from terminal cancer. Each day he chooses which patients he wants to visit by kicking his hoofs outside their doors. This blind pregnant woman got her ultrasound 3D printed and was overcome with joy. In 2005, a bald eagle was shot in the face by a poacher, causing her to lose her beak. She struggled to eat anything and was on the verge of starving until a non-profit organization gave her a 3D printed prosthetic beak, making her even more badass than ever before. In 2020, a woman from Vancouver had a teddy bear stolen from her which had a voice recording of her deceased mother who passed away from cancer. But after celebrities like Ryan Reynolds offered a cash reward and helped make the story go viral, the teddy bear was soon found and returned. In honor of Father's Day, here are some morbidly wholesome facts about dads. In 2015, a Texas father saved his son's life when doctors wrongly declared him brain dead and wanted to take him off life support. He barricaded the hospital with a gun and had a 3-hour standoff with a SWAT team until his son squeezed his hand. His son went on to make a full recovery. This awesome dad got a tattoo of his son's cancer surgery scar to show him that there's nothing to be ashamed of. In 2012, a Texas father beat his 5-year-old daughter's molester to death. But a grand jury declined to indict the man because they decided that he was justified in using deadly force to protect his daughter. This amazing father designed some shoes to give his paralyzed daughter the sensation of walking for the first time. A gay man from Italy named Luca Trapanese adopted a baby girl with Down syndrome after more than 20 families rejected her. Being a single gay man, he was told by social services that he would only be given a child with an illness or disability. He was later quoted saying, "When I first held her in my arms, I was overcome with joy and felt that she was my daughter right away." This woman went to the absolute extreme just to cheat on her husband. In 2016, California woman Sherry Papini suddenly vanished after going out for a jog, just as her husband and 2 little kids were losing hope. 3 weeks later, Sherry was miraculously found alive by the side of a highway. She was tied up with a bag over her head, had a broken nose, was badly emaciated, and covered in bruises. Sherry claimed that 2 Hispanic women had abducted and tortured her, but she was never able to see their faces. The local community quickly rallied behind her, even offering donations to aid in her recovery. But behind the scenes, law enforcement was skeptical of Sherry's claims. They eventually found DNA on her clothing that matched her ex-boyfriend James Reyes, who had no choice but to admit that the story was a complete hoax. Papini had faked a kidnapping, severely beat herself up, and lied to federal agents, all just to spend time with her ex-boyfriend without her family finding out. Her husband divorced her the day she was arrested, while she was sentenced to 18 months in prison in order to pay $300K to the state. 20-year-old Ukrainian OF model Maria Kovalchuk had been missing for 10 days until she was recently found severely injured and dumped on the side of the road in Dubai. She disappeared after telling her friends she was invited to a Dubai hotel party by 2 men who said they were representatives of the modeling business, and her loved ones became worried when she didn't return home on her scheduled flight 2 days later. Maria was initially thought to be dead when she was found laying on the side of the road with severe injuries including a broken spine and multiple broken limbs. She was rushed to the hospital and immediately required 4 surgeries to save her life. A police investigation revealed that she reportedly sustained the injuries after entering a restricted construction site by herself and falling from a height. However, Maria's family have disputed this account, believing that the construction site story is a cover-up for something darker. According to reports, the model currently can't speak but is expected to eventually recover. In 1990, Florida woman Marlene Warren opened her front door to a clown holding flowers and balloons. After handing Marlene the gifts, the clown suddenly pulled out a gun and shot the woman in the face in front of her son. The case went cold for the next 27 years until a hair found in the evidence was traced to a woman living in Tennessee who was running a restaurant with the victim's ex-husband. A Apparently the two were having an affair months before the murder, and eventually got married themselves when it seemed like they were in the clear. This photo shows Muhammad al-Margradi begging for his life just moments before he was publicly executed with an AK-47. The man was convicted of raping and killing a 3-year-old girl, prompting a harsh response from the court. The execution drew a crowd of thousands of onlookers, some perched up on telephone poles or watching from rooftops. The victim's father said that he smiled and was filled with relief and satisfaction as the killer was pumped full of bullets.